week, we make a plan for Inside Iowa Politics. I had a plan in place for this week. We need a new one. That's because there was a big announcement, or at least a big report that a big announcement is coming. Hi, I'm Dave Price. This is now the second time that we've had a huge report come out on a Friday. First one was back in April when Kim Reynolds ended her re-election campaign for governor. All kinds of things have happened since then. This time around, it is Joni Ernst deciding not to run for the U.S. Senate again. Props to Jennifer Jacobs, the former Des Moines Register reporter who now works for CBS News. She was the first to report on Friday that Ernst would not seek re-election and that Ernst would make this official this coming Thursday. This news is not a shock. Republican insiders have been saying for months that they did not expect Ernst to run again. And if you think back to 2014, Ernst herself, when she was running for this job for the first time, said that she would only serve 2 terms. She is in her second term. Democrats have been feeling more optimistic about their chances to defeat Ernst ever since the end of May. You'll remember Ernst held that town hall in Parkersburg. There was a woman in the audience. She shouted her criticism at Ernst because of Ernst's support of the Republican One Big Beautiful Bill Act that could cut $900 billion from Medicaid. The woman said that people would die if they lose their health insurance coverage. And Ernst at the time had responded that we're all going to die. She followed that up with that video in a cemetery the next day with a sarcastic video apology. And there were Republicans after that I talked to who were surprised that Ernst had behaved in this way. They didn't think that that was the Joni Ernst that they had known. Would there be any long-term damage from those comments? The one thing that came to mind for me was back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was running against Trump. Remember when she called Trump's supporters the basket full of deplorables? Now, Democrats thought that it was not that big of a deal, and Trump had said all kinds of things. But that comment seemed to really stick with the MAGA supporters and really energize them to support Donald Trump. Would that have been the case again with Ernst? We may never know now. What we do know is that there were 5 Democratic challenges. Now there are 4. Josh Turek, the state representative from Council Bluffs, early on it seems like he may have some of the early attention from D.C. The state senator, Zach Walz of Coralville. Nathan Sage, who might be the political outsider here, used to be an independent. He's running as a Democrat. He comes from a news and sports radio background. He was also the executive director of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce. And you have Jackie Norris. She's the Des Moines School Board chair, a former school teacher, and she was also a staffer for both Barack and Michelle Obama. So 4 Democrats who jumped into this race when they thought they might be running against Joni Ernst. All right, so how does this affect Republicans? Well, we already knew that there were 2 Republicans who decided to announce that they would campaign for the primary. That would be former state senator Jim Carlin of Sioux City and former libertarian turned Republican Joshua Smith of Indianola. It seems like the big name to watch for Republicans is Ashley Hinson, the member of Congress who represents Iowa's northeast part of the state. It would be a surprise if she decides not to run for the United States Senate. She has already passed once on statewide office. That came after Kim Reynolds decided not to run for governor again. Perhaps another person to watch could be Matt Whitaker. Ernst defeated Whitaker in the Republican primary when she won the office for the first time in 2014. Now, Whitaker serves as Donald Trump's NATO ambassador. Could he possibly get the president's endorsement in a Republican primary? That could be big, but could it actually happen? Maybe a third name to watch could be the House Speaker Pat Grassley. Obviously, if you know your Iowa politics, you know that his grandpa is Chuck, the longtime United States Senator. If he ran, they could both serve at the same time, or of course he could wait for when grandpa retires. Okay, now 2 final nuggets with all of this. And the first one would be the similarities between Kim Reynolds and Joni Ernst. They were both former state senators before they ascended into higher office. They were both the first women to win their respective offices. Reynolds, the first female governor, Ernst, the first female member of Congress. And now they have both decided in 2025 not to run in 2026. The second nugget is history. This would now mean that Iowa will have an open governor's race in 2026 and would also have an open U.S. Senate seat in 2026. This is the first time that this has happened since 1968. That's a long time, and it shows why 2026 in Iowa will be even more politically fascinating. That is Inside Iowa Politics for this week.